five sense realm, when you let go of it, it's so much nicer. The best pleasure you can experience in this world is when you leave the world. That has an enormous effect on your five khandhas, on your view and on your perception. Now you can actually see your perception has got something to compare this five sense realm with. And perception, after a jhana, you come back and look at this five sense realm and you think, why have I spent so much time sort of trying to mess around in this realm? Trying to make kutis, build monasteries, teach people, do things, trying to mess around in this realm. Really what I should be doing is just trying to get as many people as I possibly can to try and come and join me in jhanas. To see what I see, to see an alternative, a different perspective, so they can see this five sense realm and have nibbida towards it, have nibbida towards all the beautiful flowers, have nibbida towards the amazing sunsets, have nibbida to the lovely little joeys in the pouches. Nibbida means revulsion. A lot of times people think you're crazy. How can you sort of have revulsion to these wonderful things in the life? You monks are weird, strange, repressed. You should go and see therapists. Anyone who says that, seeing a beautiful sunset, just what a pain. Just beautiful flowers, yuck. People think you're weird. But this is the truth of things. Nibbida comes when you see something, a pain, a disease, a boil, which you've cherished all this life, and now you see just what it truly is. And then you want out. Nibbida is wanting out. Viraga comes from the development of such nibbida. Viraga means the fading away of interest in that realm. You're just not concerned so much with the world anymore. And all the beautiful little girls in the world. I just flipped through that newspaper down the office today. In the central pages, there's unclothed women in there. Yuck. Why would you want to mess around in that realm? The realm of the jhanas is higher, more beautiful. Of course, this is not the end, because the jhanas are sankharas as well. That's sankhara dukkha. But at least you're getting your first taste of seeing that what you viewed and perceived as happiness is indeed suffering. In the sutras, the Buddha said, what the putuchanas, the ordinary people, say is happiness, the Aryas say is suffering. Pleasures of the world, seeing a baby born, seeing a young, nice flower, seeing waterfalls, hearing a symphony, well played. You should have been there. All of those pleasures of the world, which people delight in, which people cherish, which people celebrate, the Aryas say just such a lot of suffering. Why do they say that? Because they've seen something more. They've been outside of jail, and all the prison concerts, all the prison displays of what prisons get up to, they've seen that freedom is something much more valuable, much more beautiful. And compared to all of that, inside the jail, what's outside is just so much more beautiful. What you're doing there, you see in the first glimpse that how you were deceived and you couldn't see it. That you were caught up in the body, you're caught up in sight, you're caught up in all the other five senses. How much of your life is caught up with these five senses? Trying to get happiness with what you see. Trying to beautify the monastery, beautify your garden, paint this, put flowers here, do up this garden. Do we really want a beautiful monastery? Or do we want beautiful minds in our monks? Do we really want to have beautiful chanting? Or do we want to have the Dhamma seen in the mind of our monks? Do we really want to have great food? Or do we want to have the Dhamma food inside? All those things in the world, we spend so much time on them, so much effort on them, and it's hopeless. So the whole purpose of this Dhamma is actually to get into not the whole purpose, but first purpose is get into a jhana and just see this five sense realm is just not worth anything at all. It's dukkha. Even at its very best, it's dukkha. It's hopeless. Even heaven realms are dukkha compared to what you see in jhanas. That starts to make the mind sort of doubt these opinions and ideas of what is sukha, what is dukkha in this realm. When you start to see that these five senses are inherently dukkha, then it's not that much more to infer that the sixth sense also, the mind, is no different than sight, sound, smell, taste, or touch. Mind knows mind objects. Those mind objects come and go. Happiness, suffering, joy, pain in the mind. You get into a second jhana. You know what happens when you get into a second jhana? Afterwards you look at first jhana, the most blissful experience you ever had before. There's suffering. And that should really sort of shock you. The most blissful, happy, amazing experience you've had in your life, from the perspective of second jhana, is now looked upon as being dukkha. You start to see, even with the mind, the happiness is relative. That which one takes to be joy comes and goes. When one starts to see that, one sees that the mind is no different than any other senses. And it works, it keeps on going because of grasping onto the idea that somehow, even in the mind, one can get beautiful happiness, peace, everlasting. That is fantasy. You're in denial about the nature of the mind. If you truly see that the mind sense is basically the same as the other five senses, only a bit more refined, then one will even get nibbida towards mind objects and the mind. That's why the Buddha taught Satipatthana. See the body, see Vedana, all the six Vedanas. Each one of them the same. See Citta, see the mind objects. These are just things which rise and pass away. Because they rise and pass away, the mind rises and passes away. The objects of mind rise and pass away. Satipatthana Sutta. Seeing that, it gives you nibbida towards this whole thing called the mind. You see, it's dukkha. Whatever arises, that is suffering. It's really something to see first jhana as suffering, as dukkha. That should be enough to sort of to give you nibbida towards the whole six senses, towards the whole five khandhas. We just chanting, from nibbida comes viraga, from viraga vimutti, free from all these things. That gatha which I said at the beginning of this talk, yang kinchi dukkhang sambhoti, just whatever suffering, dukkha, comes about, sabbang vijnana paccaya, all of that is caused by being conscious. Mind conscious, eye conscious, ear conscious, nose, tongue body conscious. Vinyanasa nirodena, from the complete cessation of all consciousness. Nati dukkassa sambhavo, there is no more dukkha arising. That's powerful in the Sutta Nipata. What they're actually saying is something which I keep on hammering here. Consciousness is the cause of dukkha. It's dependent origination, if you wish. Not just craving, but consciousness itself, whether you crave or not. That's why I sometimes ask a question to find out how people understand Dhamma. Sometimes I ask this of senior monks. They say, does an arahat experience dukkha? And a lot of people say, oh no, an arahat, sort of, they're free from dukkha, they don't experience dukkha. And then I know they haven't seen the Dhamma. An arahat experiences dukkha. If they are still conscious, haven't parinibbāned yet, then they experience dukkha, because they know that consciousness causes dukkha. To see is to suffer, to hear, to smell, to taste, to feel in the body, to know in the mind, is dukkha. That's what we just chanted in Atthallakkhana Sutta. Whatever consciousness, close, far away, refined, gross, I forget all the other words which they said in that Atthallakkhana Sutta, all of that, not me, not mine, not a self,